Hi, we're back with session 2 of Deep Cuts, Another Name on the Wall. And it occurred to me right as I hit the go live button that I never posted last week's broadcast for y'all to take a look at.
You did, in
So
fact.
you're going to get a double dose. Oh, I did?
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I
no, you definitely.
apparently immediately forgot that I did it, which happens sometimes. Anyway. So we're going to just jump right into the thick of our story at St. Genesius Hospital in Philadelphia. And we need to get started with a novel chapter. You will notice there isn't a box for novel chapters specifically because something that we're going to try out in this game as well, based on feedback from the previous playtests, is we have day shift and night shift. This is similar to the day and night phases in the sorcery and swordsmanship add-on in Good Society. This is, for deep cuts purposes, basically to separate out scenes at work at the hospital and then personal scenes. Which one is day shift and which one is night shift is really up to the table. If we want to play a game specifically about the night shift at an ER, all the work scenes will go there, and our personal stuff will go during the day shift phase. Given that we're playing in 1867, I don't think a night shift is the most likely. That sort of thing within the medical drama genre seems to be very applicable primarily to modern emergency rooms or modern surgical departments. Especially in an urban setting. So my gentle suggestion as facilitator is that we designate day shift as our work phase and night shift as our personal phase. I also might just need to come up with better terminology. If there are any thoughts about that, do you feel strongly about what time of day we work at?
I mean, that makes sense for the 1800
Mhm.
setting.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. So let's get some scene ideas. Does anyone have any specific scenes they want to see in this first chapter? So we can put together a list.
Is there an equivalent of like event scenes? I guess there wouldn't be.
Not exactly. I've thought about trying to write up something like that because there are events similar to like an event chapter in Good Society that could make sense in a deep cuts game, like a big fancy fundraiser for the hospital and you have to go schmooze with some donors, or everyone goes to a conference, or there's a chapter that's all about a morbidity and mortality meeting. That
Well,
would be a weird way to start the game, but
I was going to say, I think the things that feel like events often in like medical dramas or like, oh, a car crash, a big like disaster has happened. Now we have a ton of people coming in at once type thing.
yeah,
Almost.
all hands on deck sort of situations. Or like
Yeah.
another trope in the medical drama genre that you could do as an event style chapter, and I've seen this across multiple shows. I find it fascinating that this is a trope in doctor shows. Uh, Major weather event affects the number of patients coming in. Like there's a huge blizzard and no one's in the ER because no one can get out of their homes, and so the staff are just goofing off until there's a huge car crash, which means they have to get their shit together. Or the complete opposite. There's a massive heat wave and the ER is overcrowded because stuff is going wrong. Or like in a similar vein, there's also like holiday episodes, like the hospital gets its shit rocked because it's Halloween and lots of stuff's going bad. Yeah, there are definitely other kinds of event things focused on how does this affect our work that could be fun. Also, like, this is not my first choice as a non-participant in that holiday, but every goddamn Doctor Show does Christmas episodes. And most of them do a Christmas episode every season. So that could be a thing.
And it's always a miracle of snow, despite the fact that not everybody experiences snow.
I mean,
The White Christmas is a huge ass trope.
how does Santa know that it's Christmas without the snow, Diana?
It must be Christmas right now.
Right? It's Christmas right now here in the
Yeah.
Bay Area. We have snow in San Francisco. It's
Oh my
ridiculous.
God.
Yeah,
what
we
the
didn't even
fuck?
get snow in Jersey this year. Like,
I'm on my like 4th or 5th snowstorm this weekend because I live in the snowiest city in the country.
Wild.
Like that is a statistical fact. I'm not exaggerating. So
No, I
There are
believe
ice
you.
spills on my car, and this should not be happening in the Portland area.
Exactly.
if my street outside were better lit, I would move the webcam to show you. But yeah, maybe on a break. Okay, so what do we want? Do we want to start with an event like this that's like drawing everyone together?
I guess I don't have as clear an idea about how you figure out
How
what
you
scenes
begin.
look like in a medical drama.
I mean, we started with in
way-
the first alpha test was the just having the morning meeting, but I don't.
That was a pretty good framing device.
Yeah.
Having the morning residence meeting. Doing some sort of event thing could also be a good thing to pull everyone in. Although a lot of the kind of catastrophe event things that would affect a hospital in 1867 seem a lot darker to me. Like, oh, there's an outbreak
mean,
of
it's-
cholera.
yeah, they're the exact same, but much worse.
Yeah.
Or
Do we-
cholera.
Since the two guy characters have politic issues going on, maybe it's like one of those like a politician comes and names a ward or donates some money, and it's an event that we all have to attend to, you know, kind of thing.
That could be interesting, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think we have an empty. Yeah, we could make it a connection for either Charles Mudd or Zachariah Wainwright.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a better connection for Charles Mudd.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna look up who the mayor of Philadelphia was in 1867.
Yeah, I think maybe we start with that, so we're all grouped together, and then the following scenes, maybe we interact with our patients as a good feel.
Oh, I feel like someone from the Hamilton family is probably showing up to this.
Oh,
Yeah, that would make
the
sense.
the relevant election for this took place in 1865. That's kind of interesting. So this guy's been mayor for a couple
Oh,
years.
all right.
His
Okay.
name was-
All right.
His name was Morton McMichael. Before he was
dude,
mayor
they
of
just
Philadelphia,
don't
he
make
was a
them like they
newspaper
used
editor.
to.
Well, wait till you see this guy's picture, Chris. I'm gonna post it in the Discord.
Please.
Before he was mayor of Philadelphia, he was a newspaper editor and publisher, and he worked as the editor of the Saturday Evening Post. And so, yeah, he was a big newspaper person before he went into politics. And here is what this guy looks like. Putting it in Memorial General. That's Morton McMichael. Is a hell of a name to go with a hell of a mustache.
He looks very
Just-
personable.
What's getting me is the Dick Van Dyke ass suit.
A bit,
Like he looks like a vaudeville guy. It's
Slightly. Yeah, this guy sounds really interesting. I'm going to link his Wikipedia page. I'm going to add him as a connection for Charles Mudd. And the three of you get to duke out who's going to play this magnificent bastard. Uh,
I mean, isn't it obvious?
it might be,
No.
but for the benefit of our viewers, you should say it.
It should be Chris.
What? Because of my gender? And my immediate affinity for this weird-looking man?
For your immediate affinity, yes.
Morton
glee.
Michael.
Fine. All
You don't have to be the
fine.
one.
I'll be. No, I'm complete. I'm very excited to play this weird guy.
Oh.
Hang on, I gotta figure out.
Alright. I think Charles Mudd is. What does he think Charles Mudd is, I wonder?
A charity case?
Charity case for sure.
A capable doctor who needs help restoring his image.
Yeah.
He's a Jacksonian Democrat. Yeah. All right. Rich libertarian weirdo. Got it. Let's see.
Alright, I'm going to fill out a description for him later, or you can do that based on the Wikipedia article. It's up to you. But yeah, we have the mayor of Philadelphia.
So is he opening a new wing, or is
I
he
think
just donating
he's-
money?
I think he's opening a new wing. I like that. What department is this wing for? Like, what part of the hospital is this meant to serve?
Probably infectious disease.
Yeah.
Like it's a cholera ward.
Yeah, it's a cholera ward or a
Or a
TB
TB
ward.
ward.
Something like that.
Probably both.
Alright. Excellent.
When did the fresh air movement start? That wasn't till later, was it?
When did what start?
The fresh air movement.
I'm,
I think that was First World War.
No, I'm pretty sure it was before that, because like, hang on.
Yeah, no, that was for the Spanish flu pandemic. So that was 1910-ish.
We're ahead of the game with our garden maze.
Which is weird because miasma is disproven like 2 years ago in 1867. I looked this up and I think it's 1864 when Jon Snow does his whole thing.
Yeah, but it didn't die. Yeah.
Oh no, not even close.
I know Florence Nightingale was like a huge proponent of like fresh air, so I do think it was around at this time because Florence Nightingale is period to us in this game.
Cool. So this is a wing where you can't close the windows.
or at least they're kept open for many months at a time during the spring and summer. It's like large glass pane windows that take 2 people to open and close.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so Mayor McMichael is there. God, that's such a stupid name.
So powerful.
Yeah.
All
Let
right,
me turn
Mayor
my radio off
McMichael.
just a moment.
Is there giving a speech?
So he's there giving a speech. Charles Mudd is there looking on admiringly. What are Sophia and Alma doing?
I think Sophia is trying not to be noticed, because I think she tries to be kind of low key about her background, because she worked hard, she earned this, she's not just like a nepotism baby, even though she is kind of a nepotism baby, and so, but I imagine there are people from the Hamilton families here because they are
Naturally.
old Philadelphians.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if your mother wasn't there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because the
So
mayor, that's a big deal.
probably trying not to get trying to be somewhere where she's not going to be noticed by her mother, but good luck with that. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think Alma is trying to, like, whatever patients they've trotted out for the new ward to show off, she's trying to make sure they're all comfortable. Like, she has no head for like this publicity stunt and everything. She's like, oh, okay, we're all supposed to be here, okay. And she's like, like, if the mayor is like saying like poor little Nancy, and Alma would be the one to be like butt in and say, excuse me, and like, treat Nancy for like maybe drinking or like pills or something. So she's completely oblivious essentially.
All right, that makes sense. And presumably Dr. Wainwright is in another part of the hospital actually treating patients.
Mm-hmm.
That would
Unless
be the
there's
workforce
objections
mentality.
from Chris.
Yeah.
It would be. And also the Chris can only play one character at once mentality.
We haven't figured out the technology yet.
All right.
I welcome a challenge, but yeah.
Can you imagine 2 Chris's?
No, I can't.
I think the number of universes where that's possible is very limited.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. No. All right, let's get into it. I'm giving a big
Both
speech.
my parents are named Chris, so I can't in fact imagine.
My mom is named Chris.
And they also gave my brother and I the middle names Christopher and Christine. So, we theoretically, worst case scenario, we could have 4 Chris's in one house. We're like I like to say that we're like, since we're all white, we're like a whole Marvel movie cast.
You're instead of infinite crises, it's infinite Chris's.
Infinite Chris's on Infinite Earths.
Oh man.
All right. Anyway,
so actually, I think a good way for this to start is Charles Mudd is introducing you, so you can give your speech. So there's like a little lectern there, and Dr. Mudd gets up there. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on this esteemed and joyous day. It is the honor and privilege of every physician to be pillars to the community and provide aid to the weary in ways and places that they cannot get anywhere else. Fortunately, we do not have to pursue this work alone. We have great friends and benefactors who enable the work that we do. I'm proud and privileged to call Mayor Morton McMichael one of St. Genesius's most beloved friends in this effort. Thank you. And he nods, and there's polite applause as the mayor approaches.
good people of Philadelphia, good morning. And a bright morning it is. We stand in many ways on the threshold of a grand future. And the speech proceeds. I'm not doing this.
Coward. All right.
Yes. Fight me
I
about
was
it.
I was tempted to offer you a resolve token to keep going. You were doing so well.
That's the trick. You gotta stop before you run
right.
out of steam.
Fair. How do Sophia and Alma react to this kind of environment? React to the mayor's speech, to Charles glad handing and sucking up the way that he is so shamelessly?
I mean, I think Sophia has been around people like this her entire life. So, like, she's not particularly overawed or anything. I think she's just trying to do, like, she's like folding sheets and like making herself useful and just like trying to stay out of the way. Because I think maybe her mother is also speaking, because like after the mayor, because like her mother has, maybe arranged some like ladies committee that also contributed money or something.
I think Alma's a little impressed because she hasn't heard much like, politics speakings, and is like, "Oh, mayor, that's pretty," like, she does think like this is a pretty big deal, but I have patients to take care of, so she does stop and listen like every so often, but it's like, "Oh, okay." But it mostly goes over her head. Though I think she would probably more notice Sophia being like, hedgy and everything, and just like, what's like, just like squinty eyes a little bit, like, is she nervous? Like, and yeah, I don't think she had approached Sophia yet about it, but yeah, she does notice that.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm sure that like her mother is involved with this somehow and like getting introduced, maybe speaking a bit. If you want to, you can like notice that they have the same last name and like that there is a resemblance between them and put two and two together.
Ooh,
I would
yeah.
be fine with that. Because like I think she definitely Sophia definitely hasn't like publicized it, but also like she's not going by a different last name or anything to try and hide it,
I think I'll do the classic thing that I always hated when people did to me. I go up to you, Sophia, I'm like, is that your older sister?
I think I think
I didn't know you had
Sophia
such a famous older sister.
I think Sophia kind of like there's a slight there's kind of like a slight pursing of the lips as she like continues folding this sheet, and she says, actually that's my mother.
Oh. And her eyes widens like, oh, she I see it's good resemblance. Like trying to, like, she even realized, and actually, sorry, 1 second, my dad needs me for something. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries.
That's cool. Zach can step in and be amazed. That's true, isn't it? You two are kin.
Yes, and I suppose I should take the resemblance of as mark of resemblance as a compliment. My mother is usually considered a great beauty, especially in her youth.
So you got real money, huh?
Yes, but and I think she kind of turns around and she says, But I'm not someone who is content to just use that money and ride by through life.
I'm back, sorry.
No worries. I may.
Dr. Wainwright has joined the conversation.
Howdy.
Lovely.
I
It's fine.
I may have money, but what purpose is having money if you don't use it to help others who are less fortunate than you? This is an extension of that. I'm not content as my mother is to just give money and never dirty my hands.
I don't know. The way I sees it, you could do a lot more in a ladies' club than you can in a cholera ward. If you got your head on right. Which,
Are there a lot of sick people in the ladies' club?
no. They got a
Well,
much higher chance of living than any of these fools. These poor folks.
Well, I believe that if someone is properly motivated and has the resources, then they are able to do both.
I hope you're right.
If you'll excuse me, and I think she's going to sweep to another part of the room where she's going to fold spore sheets.
Oh, God dang it. That was awful rude of me. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you said that out loud, because I was thinking it. But I wasn't sure that was the right thought.
I'm just not used to getting around you city folks yet, I guess.
I've been told the whole American Southern hospitality is supposed to be nicer.
Well, I ain't from there.
Well, you're all northern to me, technically, but...
I am a West by God Virginian. And we worked very hard to make sure we stayed north of the Mason-Dixon.
Is that a river?
No, it's something much stupider than that.
You probably... And I think she keeps glancing back at whoever's, like, doing the next, like, speech or whatever.
I think this is probably a good time for the mayor's speech to end. And
Yeah, probably.
Charles gets up and starts shaking his hand really vigorously and kind of showily.
My good man, my good man.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mayor.
My pleasure.
Yeah. I think out of the corner of Charles's eye, he sees Dr. Wainwright here, who, as we established, Charles is deeply, deeply embarrassed by. It's like, no, why would he show up here?
I thought I sent him to the other side of the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. If you'll excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Charles just kind of glides menacingly toward the two of you.
I think it's when he comes in, Alma's like, you should give her flowers. Flowers is a good way to say you're sorry.
I'll think about that. Thanks for the heads up.
Dr. Wainwright?
Yes, sir?
I was under the impression that you were scheduled to work in the sanitarium all day.
Well, I couldn't just, I'm sorry, sir, but I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I'll be heading back in about...
Do you not have patients to attend to?
You, overstaffed the sanitarium, sir. We got 3 extra pairs of hands. I figured I could slip away for 20 minutes.
Weren't we all supposed to be here, sir?
As Charles is saying, this is kind of moving with you to keep you out of the mayor's view. Just kind of, yeah, shuffling around. Dr. Wainwright, that's patently ridiculous. You are vital to the operation of the sanitarium. You have to get back there at once.
All right, if you say so, I'll be on my way.
I think that's probably a good place to end the scene. Did we want anything more from that? We established a couple of the basic character dynamics.
Yeah, I think
I'm
the
fine.
parting shot is just like as you're moving him away, Sophia like immediately. I'm sorry, not. I don't know why I keep doing that. I apologize, Neko.
No worries.
Alma. Alma like heads towards like one of the patients that like maybe the mayor is like shaking hands with, and it's like, oh, it's time for their like their leech session, and like pulls them away.
All right, excellent. So we've established some of the dynamics between our principal cast. What other scenes do we want in the day shift?
I think
These
we
could
need
be
I think we need a scene between Sophia and her mother, much as Sophia is
Okay.
trying to avoid it.
All right, Sophia and Minerva. Here's a good way to frame it. What patients do we want to work with? Because day shift is really when we should be doing scenes with our patients of the week.
Okay.
We could probably easily like get a glance of all of them.
Yeah, okay. We can just do a quick down the line. Patients of the week. Are there other day shift scenes that we want to see? This could be stuff between the staff in their professional context. Could be lots of things.
I would love to see maybe Sophia and Alma researching or something.
Yeah, researching. All right. What do we want to see from Zachariah for the rest of the chapter, other than dealing with patients?
In terms of dealing with patients?
Other than dealing with patients.
Oh. Well, I owe Sophia an apology.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm not sure.
Okay. I think this is a good starting list. I'm going to post that in the Discord. Very good. Let's start with the Sophia and Alma researching scene, just because I need to turn my camera off for a bit. I'll be in the room. I can hear you.
Cool.
It's important that we do a scene without me in it. So, all right. If either one of you wants to frame the scene, we can get started.
What do you think it is that we're researching? Maybe are we like gathering data on like a certain illness, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think like I think maybe it started off since we're both from the medical school, the girls' school, right?
Yeah.
That maybe it started off as like just a simple like assignment, and then we're like, oh, but there's so much more data now, and we've made it a proper research thing. So, other than what we've mentioned before of like what diseases were about, I don't know what other medical maladies were happening at the time. But maybe we see
maybe
something.
it even is about like women's health, because like that was even more neglected than it is today. So like maybe that is something that we've like been looking into and like talking to different women patients and like getting like data about their cycles and like pain, how much pain is involved, and various things like that.
Yeah, I like that. And so I think Alma comes in with like seeks you out and everything after the whole like event and everything. It's like it like their mind's like, well, that was rude of what the doctor did and everything. And you were clearly uncomfortable the entire time during the event. And so I was like, well, I'll distract her. And brings it's like, I think I have a new patient for our cases.
Really? Which one?
Well, they're not a patient yet. They're in my building, but and I think it's I think I will reference La Doña. Doña, she's very old and wizened, but she always has these what she calls women feelings and instincts and troubles, and maybe if we can talk to her, eh, she's we might find more patterns for older women because we don't really have much data on anyone beyond um, their 30s usually.
Yes, I believe that would be quite a good idea. I mean, we do know that that a woman's body changes after a certain age, but of course, most of the medical men haven't gone into much detail about what those changes are, except that they're no longer able to have children.
Exactly. And well, I mean, I noticed there is a big immigrant population like me here, and La Doña, she's very much like other immigrants who are not very trustworthy of doctors, so there's even less information, you know. They tend to only go at the last minute if they have to.
Do you believe that she would speak to us?
I think I can possibly convince her. She
Very
likes me a
good.
lot, so
Do you think that she would come here, or would we have to go to her?
hmm. I think it'd be safer if we went to her. Do you think that will muddy the data?
No, I think that will be all right. Tell me, in your culture, is there anything that one should do when coming to meet someone? Should I bring a gift or something of the sort?
Oh, well, a gift is always nice. Nothing, usually food. We like food. And she chuckles a little. Um, is is very good and well, a lot of doctors, I know you're not like that, but a lot of doctors tend to be condescending about our we believe in, lighting candles and praying, and I still do believe that, but I believe it with actually medical stuff too. So just making sure we respect that, even if a lot of the things they might think is not correct.
I think Sophia kind of nods and says, "It is not quite the same as the traditions practiced in my family, but my family is religious as well. We
Mm.
have Quaker roots. Many of the old families in Philadelphia do.
Oh, so you are a Quaker then?
Something like that. Not quite all of the traditions have held on, but uh, yes.
And she smiles and is like, well, maybe sometime we can compare and contrast. Just not for the research, just it would be nice to talk to others who have such beliefs and still, you know, believe in science too.
Yes. I don't think there is anything in contradiction for the two. If you believe that God created the world, then surely he must have created natural order and science as well.
I yes, I think I believe so. 1 second, sorry.
Yep, no worries.
Sorry. My dad's cleaning in the room. Um, and yeah, I think like she does show you. She did write up a little bit of like notes on Ladonia that she's observed, and it's like, well, but back to the research, and she hands you the notes,
Yeah.
and it's and such.
Yeah. And I think that's probably a good place for the scene. If you're
Yeah.
good with that.
I am. Research buddies. Woo!
Yep.
What else?
Excellent. I had to step away from the keyboard during some of that, but I did catch most of it. I'm really sorry.
No worries.
No worries.
My laundry buzzed, and I had to take care of that. Anyway, so research buddies, yay. Let's see a patient now. Is there a particular patient someone is interested in doing a scene with?
I mean, I'm not going to make you wait for Geraldo.
Yeah, it has to be I think it has to be Geraldo. We've been waiting to hear this.
Before this scene, I will have to say that I am not Italian, and I do not stand by any facts I may represent about the Italian X community.
Also,
I
Raz,
mean-
I think I hear a double voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I have to switch back to my headphones. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I put the speaker on so I could hear you while I was getting my laundry, and forgot to go back.
So, do you think Geraldo is the type to like seek her out, like not wait in like the waiting room?
No, I think this is a... Or is he a serial patient? 'Cause
He's kind of a serial patient, but not like purposely, since he's very accident prone.
I don't think he'd seek her out per se, but if she ever goes into the waiting room,
Yeah.
first thing that happens.
I think yeah. So then that's like she hadn't expected him yet, or was hoping, not just because of him, but because of all these accidents that it'd be a long time frame before she'd see him again. And so I think she looks like is just walking through the waiting room because she didn't know she had anybody yet, so she doesn't quite see him.
All right, I think he's either waiting very quietly or desperately trying to explain to like the attending nurse what's going on when he sees you.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, mi bellissima. Come on, yeah.
And immediately, like, Alma tenses up. It's like, he's back. Oh no, what happened? And puts the equivalent of a customer service expression on their face, and turns around and smiles politely. It's like, Mr. Venezia, what brings you here today?
Let me check do we have lines on gore? Is everyone cool with finger stuff? Because that's my current plan.
I'm fine with it.
We surprisingly do not have lines against gore, which makes this medical comedy game really ripe for the picking, honestly.
Just specifically note the eye injuries, but that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As long as
okay.
long as people can see after whatever happens to them, apparently we can do anything.
It's game. All right, cool.
So is it like the comical, like cartoon blood spurting, or?
Not quite, but I do. Like, I was I was doing some roofing, and then I lost my footing on some loose tile, and it's a little. The pinky's at a right angle.
Oh yeah, and and she was just like nodding because usually it's not too terrible, and then she sees that. Oh, I see. You seem very calm about this.
Well, I had to finish a day's work. It gives the man a lot of time to reflect.
She gulps and nods. Yes. And then she tells the nurse that was trying to communicate with you like very quickly. It's like, I've got this. Thank you very much. And we'll say kind of like in half Spanish, half. She's starting to learn a little bit of like the differences between Spanish and Italian, even though it confuses her. Um, like tells you, all right, just come with me this way. Let's get you. I think we have an available room over here. Um, and she's just kind of like staring at your finger, like, what do? Like this is, hmm. And I think she also starts muttering to herself in Spanish, which he'll probably pick up like bits of in understanding. It's like, oh man, like should I bring another doctor in, someone more experienced, or no, I should be able to handle this. This isn't as bad as losing an arm or a finger. It's still technically attached. Um,
You'll do fine, mi bella, mi bella. I trust you. You're doing perfect.
right. Thank you. I do appreciate that you have trust in your doctor here. And I think I do want to attempt the cards, Raz.
Okay.
You're
You're
also
muted.
muted.
Sorry. Yeah, this is actually a really, really good time to do a challenge. So I'm gonna open up the rules since this is our first time doing it in this game. We need the challenge rules. So for Neko and Chris's benefit, since you've not done this, challenges are used when characters need to do something exceptionally difficult. This is done by drawing cards from the challenge deck until conditions are met for success or failure. You succeed when you draw enough cards of the right suit for the challenge. For example, in a Spades 1 challenge, you succeed when you draw and reveal one spade card from the challenge deck. You fail if you draw 4 cards which do not match the suit for the challenge. For example, in a Hearts 3 challenge, you fail if you draw and reveal 4 clubs, diamonds, or spades before you get to 3 hearts. And the suits are used for different reasons. There's a unfinished table in that document. So for this, where you're trying to set the finger correctly, it's a technical task, it's a surgical thing, it would be clubs.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be a challenge level of 2. So it's intermediate. It's getting a bit more difficult, but it's possible. It's just a finger. But you also want to do it in a way that he retains motion in the finger after it sets properly. So there's a bit of risk here. The way that we're going to do this, you go into the card draws channel on the Discord. I'm going to shuffle the deck. Hopefully the bot will do it right. Discord recently fucked up the way that bots work, and so alright, I figured it out. You have to do slashes instead of the exclamation points.
Oh, it's all slashes now, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alright. So, if you look in the card draws channel, the deck is shuffled. And so now Diana is going to draw cards until she either succeeds by drawing 2 clubs or fails by drawing 4 cards of any other suit. So, take it away.
So I think it's deal or
I believe it is
Draw.
It is
looks
draw
like
draw
shuffled.
shuffle.
Yeah.
Okay.
/ draw shuffled. So
And it says draws number, so I could put technically 4, or should I do it individually?
I would do it individually.
Okay.
Oh, you already have a club, the Jack of Clubs. That's
Nice.
a good start. Go one more time.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Hey! 2 clubs right off the bat. That is the first challenge of the game. Succeeded. For future reference, based on feedback from the previous playtests, you can spend resolve tokens to lower the difficulty level. So if I set the challenge higher than you're comfortable with, or if you are counting cards and you know that your odds are not great, you can spend resolve token to lower it at 1 level per token.
So do you
So-
have to do that before you start drawing, or can you like have started drawing and see that like, okay, I'm really close to failing out here?
I am still... Oh, I didn't account for that in the updated thing that I wrote. My instinct is that you need to spend to lower the difficulty level before you start drawing.
Okay.
And I will update the language accordingly. I'm going to add that to my to-do list right now. Put that in doctor's orders.
So I think because probably the first time that Alma's had to set a bone on her own, like she's probably done it like in a classroom type of setting. She's being very what's the right word I want? She's like very much using a lot more extra like caretaker type of language, like it's gonna be okay, I'm just gonna do this, and she's very close, like being comforting, and it's like, all right, this is going to hurt a little bit, and sets it, and we hear like the loud crack sound and everything, and she cleans it up and quickly bandages, and she's still like just talking to girl though, like through all of this very softly and calmly, and switching back between English and Spanish, and it's like, there, all better now, and she gives you like a small smile.
Aye. Better? Really? Yeah, alright.
This connection brought to you by the Mario Brothers movie from the 80s.
I didn't want to do this.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you're doing it, though.
As long as we're all having a good time.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there anything else you need, or?
No, I'll get out of your hair. Wow, what the fuck was that? I get out of here. I'm on lunch break.
You need to get some rest. You need to make sure we don't want that breaking completely next time.
I need to put food on my daughter's table. You understand? This
have a
is not.
daughter?
It's not gonna get better. It's not gonna get better, y'all. Because I can't decide. Like, he's not an Italian American, so I can't just use my normal voice.
I think people might have also been reacting to you having a daughter. Like, do you also have a wife?
This is opening up a lot of exciting possibilities for future Patients of the Week after Geraldo
I
cycles
feel
out.
like he does this in the Columbo movies, like he's at the door and he's like, I can't, I have to feed my daughter. She's like, what? And he just walks out.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Fantastic. That was a really, really great scene. Next, how do we feel about... Oh, no, I crossed out the wrong one. We haven't done Sophia and Minerva yet. We did Sophia and Alma researching. So, do we want to do Sophia Minerva? Do we want to do Zachariah Sophia? Do we want to do another patient scene?
I am good for whatever.
It's this kind of flexibility that facilitators are happy to have, but it also means
I
collective
say we should
decision
probably
making
get the
breaks
Sophia
down.
Minerva scene.
Yeah, let's do the Minerva scene.
Yeah.
So that is me and Sophia. So what specifically were you interested in with this?
I mean, just mother lecturing and putting like pressure on
Okay.
Sophia type thing.
All right. So I think the way this plays out is after that kind of fundraising glad handy thing with the mayor wraps up, most of Minerva's ladies auxiliary Pat gets out of there. They have lives to attend to and games of bridge to play. But Minerva sticks around because she wants to both see for herself what her daughter's wasting her time on, but also use it as an opportunity to make Sophia see the light. And so, what part of the hospital are you working in right now?
I don't know parts of a hospital very well, especially during the 1860s. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, hospitals in the 1860s, as far as I've read about it, I haven't had the chance to research this as deeply as I want, but my research is going to get better as the game progresses. They were not quite as compartmentalized, and
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
it was, the hierarchy was much simpler. And so frequently the physical divisions of hospitals were based on what was being treated rather than, oh, well, this is our pulmonology department and this is the children's wing. All children often had their own wing. It wasn't regimented by academic discipline or specialty of medicine the way that hospitals are these days.
I feel like something that would really get Minerva clutching pearls is if, like, Sophia was maybe dealing with someone similar to Geraldo, who is like, one, a man, two, like, working class, three, maybe like an immigrant or otherwise like someone that she would not normally be expected to associate with at her high level, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, how do you feel about there also being a kind of visceral element to this? Like maybe on this mystery patient that isn't a connection, just basically this is a prop for this scene. Maybe Sophia's doing something kind of gross, like lancing a boil.
Yeah.
Or trying to drain some excess blood from this guy.
Drain some pus even.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's even grosser than blood.
Yeah, she's doing something really nasty, like draining pus out of an abscess.
Yeah.
That would just make Minerva swoon for the reasons good society players don't want people to swoon.
She's going to need her smelling salts.
Indeed. Not just to be level-headed, but also because it probably smells really bad in here. If I'm going too hard on this, by the way, let me know. Because we're in territory that I would understand is CW for some people, but it's not explicitly covered by the lines and veils. So, all right. So, I come in as Minerva, and why don't you describe for the class what I see when I walk through this door? I've been directed to, Dr. Hamilton, she's there. And Minerva is very annoyed at you being called Dr. Hamilton. You're
Yeah. So
Sophia.
I think this is some sort of uh someone who works in like at the docks or in a factory or somewhere like that would be dirty and unappealing and he's rather dirty and um uh Sophia is just like very calmly uh using the proper tools of whatever draining uh this pus, very no nonsense. She doesn't quite have the same the same good bedside manner as someone like Alma. uh I think she's just very kind of meticulous and professional.
Okay, well,
So
how about...
one thing one thing that was interesting in this documentary that I rewatched is they were talking about for how some women they saw medicine as an extension of their femininity because a lot of women would be taking care of their children when they got sick and that sort of
Yeah,
thing, and so it was part of women's realm to be the caretaker, and then other women doctors were kind of the opposite where they're
I
no.
gotta be one of the guys if I'm gonna
Yeah,
succeed with this
and
sort
I
of thing.
think I think Sophia's in the second category.
Okay. In terms of who this guy is, just to make him less of a prop, even though we're not creating a connection,
Hmm.
uh, I think it would be me if he's a streetcar operator.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so he's covered with the dust of the city, but he's also kind of covered in grease from maintaining the streetcar.
Hmm.
Because I looked it up just now, just to make sure this was a good idea. And streetcars are a relatively new thing in Philadelphia. They started uh, providing this kind of public transportation in the 1850s.
Hmm.
So they've been around for a minute, but the long term effects of that sort of thing are still starting to play out. Um, so yeah, he's a streetcar operator, and he's reeks of horses and dirt, and apparently whatever you're draining out of this sore that he has.
Hmm.
Uh, and so Minerva comes in already quite cross to hear you being referred to as Dr. Hamilton. You're Sophia. You're not Dr. Hamilton. Uh, that's a man's title. Uh, so I come in and I see you working on this workman in a way that to me looks very compromising. Minerva just gasps really over dramatically.
Yeah, I think this boil is somewhere on his leg, so there is some rolling up of trousers that has happened.
Sophia! What on
Oh,
earth are you doing?
just a moment. I need to finish this. We're almost done, Mr. Cartwright.
Minerva, untypically for her, is just kind of taken aback and speechless, mostly because of how casual you're being about doing this on a man and
Yeah, and
a
I think
Cartwright.
I think so. Sophia finishes and then bandages it and is telling the person okay, these are the instructions for care, make sure you change the bandage this number of times, etc. type thing, and you're free to go. Just talk to the people at the desk to see if there will what the charges will be.
So Minerva just kind of primly and with tightly pursed lips steps to the side to let him through and then slams the door shut, leaving the two of you in there. So this
Can
is
I
what
help
do.
you with
So this is
something?
what you do all day.
Can I help you with something, Mother? Perhaps you had a stomach ache or some such after the refreshments at the speech?
Her eyes narrow at you. Uh, she just lets out coldly. Those refreshments were provided by my good friend Augusta Hayworth,
Yes,
and
and
I
I
enjoyed them immensely.
yes, and I would not dare suggest that there would be anything wrong with them. I just know that if anyone uh, has too many of anything, no matter how fine the quality, especially while wearing a tightly laced corset, as you tend to, uh, can sometimes have stomach troubles, perhaps a stomach ache.
My stomach is quite settled, Sophia. I came to find you so that I could get a closer look at what it is you do here, to get a better idea of why this
I see.
cockamamie playing doctor thing is so important to you. And
Well,
I
the
must say
hospital is
I
not
must say
open.
I'm more confused than I was before.
The hospital is not open for tours. Of course, we would like to respect patients' privacies. If you would like to, the attached medical college does have tours, and I'm sure that someone there would be happy to show you around.
Her eyes narrow again. She can tell she's being handled. And Minerva Hamilton is not a woman who is easily handled. Yes, well, very well. Perhaps one afternoon, when I have the time, I shall make the appropriate arrangements. Will you be home tonight?
Yes, Mother, of course I will be.
Good. I shall expect you to be on time. I know that that's been difficult for you with this profession you're playing at.
I'm not playing at anything.
Yes, well, I shall see you for supper then. And she escorts herself out of the wing. Is there anything more you wanted from that scene?
Nope.
Alright, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have fun with Minerva. Alright, excellent. I think another patient scene would be a good
I'll grab
kinda
one. We can
thing,
do one
follow up
with Prudence, who I
Yeah.
forgot to write who I forgot to write a deal for. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So we've done Alma Geraldo, rather. Now we are doing Zachariah and Prudence. Who's playing Prudence? Oh, Neko plays Prudence.
Yep,
Wonderful.
I am.
All right. Go ahead and frame the scene. Since you're the patient, what is your complaint?
I think that Prudence has been having like some terrible stomach pains all day.
Mm-hmm. That bad, huh?
Yes. Can you do something about it, Doctor?
You've been taking the carbonate like I told you to?
Yes, Doctor.
I just don't know if there's anything left to try.
That is a very disconcerting thing to hear from a physician.
Oh,
Surely there's something you can do. Perhaps someone else you could apply to who has more experience.
I was thinking just the same thing. I know. Tell you what, as a personal favor, I will refer you to the. Wait, Charles Mudd is a doctor, right? He's still a doctor.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
I'll
I
refer
think
you.
we had softly established that he is the superior of the three of you in some way. Like, the medical hierarchy, again, is not as entrenched, not as established in 1867. And so, like, I don't know if chief resident was a thing, or, like, the hierarchy of resident attending, but he is in charge of you in some way.
Sure, he has the vibes of a chief resident.
I think that's a good idea.
All right,
We can put it in those terms even if they're anachronistic.
Sure. Right, I will. As a personal favor, I will refer you directly to my superior, the chief resident in this wing of the hospital. I've got detailed notes. I'll make sure everything gets settled. You don't have to do a thing except come back tomorrow. How's that sound?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Is there anything you could get me for the pain in the meantime?
I've got something back here. I don't know what drugs were in 1867.
It probably had some cocaine or
honestly,
something
Yeah,
in
like
it.
I hesitate to just hand out morphine or cocaine.
A good hint for drugs in use in the 1860s. Look through the list of medicines that are available in the Oregon Trail games.
Okay, actually, we'll do this. But I don't know. I personally feel weird about just handing you some cocaine.
1860s, you would not feel weird about that.
Yeah, all right. Well, here's some cocaine.
Yeah, it'd probably be in some sort of like patent medicine or something, but
yeah, it would be.
I brewed
it
this
would be
up
in
myself.
It would
Some
be
Dr. Pepper
cocaine
pills.
cocaine in pill form.
Yeah, just some Dr. Pepper pills, that's all.
There's actually this new combined therapy I'm working on. If you've got bloating like you've got, then this should do the trick.
thank you very much, Doctor.
All right, and that's seen.
All right. I looked up the residency thing, by the way. I was going to suggest it not be seen yet because I think it would be good for Charles Mudd to come
I
in
was
on
going
the
to
consult.
just pivot immediately to a consult with Charles Mudd as a different scene, but
That's fine. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I looked up the residency thing, and the first residency programs were developed about 20 years after this, like in the 1880s and 1890s. But so those terms didn't quite exist yet, but there's still kind of a hierarchy present of senior physicians and that sort of thing. So it's close enough.
I mean, if Neko, if you want to stay in the scene, we can call in Dr. Mudd for a consult.
I'm just playing the connection, so whatever you think works best.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Excellent. So you've
Tell
sent
us how to play your
off.
game, Raz.
Yeah, you've sent. What'd you say?
I said, tell us how to play your game.
Oh my god. I don't know how to play my game yet. I'm learning. So you've sent a nurse off to fetch Dr. Mudd because we don't have pagers yet. Maybe when we get to 2017.
Yeah, maybe.
And so Charles comes blustering in after a few minutes of you kind of faffing about with Prudence and figuring out what horrific drug is correct for the pain. You required a consult, Dr. Wainwright?
I sure did. Now, I've run just about every test I could think of on Miss Conway here. Got her on carbonate, got her on a number of therapies, and she is still coming in every day with gastrointestinal pain. She requested the attention of a more senior physician. I was happy to oblige.
Yes, well, as I take the chart from you and look over your notes. Well, let's see what we can do. Tell me more about your diet, Miss Conway.
Well, I don't think that my diet is particularly anything special. Do I need to come up with actual details here, or?
As much detail as you want.
Okay. Then I'm not going to come up with any particular detail.
All right,
because I don't have
that
ideas.
is just fine. Don't worry about it.
But she does give you details. I'm just not going to as the player.
All right.
Yeah.
After a moment of listening to Prudence go on about this and going over the notes again, Charles has been writing something in the chart. Listening, but also clearly thinking about some other thing. And Charles is going to do a challenge to see if he can accurately come up with a remedy. Oh, damn it. I'm still getting used to this setup. I knock shit over all the time.
Oh, is that how tests work? Okay.
Is what how tests work?
I could do a challenge about it.
Yeah, you could have done a challenge about it if you wanted.
Cool.
But you
Charles
said you
is
just
going
gave
to
her
send you
cocaine.
past over him. Yeah. I
Just
mean,
Listen, it'll make her feel better.
it's good. It's good country medicine.
I'm so close to recommending my Mima's onion potion.
Oh no. That's upsetting. Alright, so this is going to be a spades challenge. We're going to make it a challenge level of 3. Because, you've tried a lot of stuff. And as much as Charles kind of blusters and has a lot of confidence and, yes, well, let's see what we can do. Secretly, he's starting to run out of ideas as well. So let me get into the Discord and do that. Alright, shuffle. Draw shuffle. We need 3 spades. That's a heart.
All right.
It's a diamond. This is not going well. The scribbles are becoming more frantic. That's another diamond. Well, fuck. Alright. If this isn't a spade, then I fail. So. It's a heart.
Well.
No!
Cocaine
All right.
it is.
After a moment, and Dr. Wainwright might be perceptive enough because he works with me to see this look of realization that I don't have any idea what to do either. Charles looks up from the pad and just says, "You says here you were recommending cocaine for the pain."
It was just about the only thing I hadn't tried.
Well, I don't see how it can hurt. In the meantime, I suggest you spend some time in the medical library figuring out a more long-term solution. Proceed with the cocaine.
I don't think that's ever going to stop being funny to me.
It will never not be funny. I need to help my partner with something for a little bit. Is now an okay time for us to do a short bio break?
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
good.
it's
All
fine
right.
with me.
Let's
10.
resume in 10.
Sounds good.
I am back. I'm just having a little something to eat before we resume. Welcome back, Diana. Alright, looks like we're just waiting on Chris, and then we can resume. Oh, you know, this is something we talked about in the alpha and beta, but that we haven't done in this game. For the two of you who are back, Neko and Diana, what do you think the opening credits sequence looks like for Another Name on the Wall in the 1867 period? If we frame this as like being a doctor show that happens to take place in the 1860s, what do you think the opening credits sequence, or the kind of traditional thing they do, and we're back, this sort of thing?
I think it's like the old 70s and 80s cowboy show intros. Like it doesn't necessarily fit the theme, like this is a doctor show, but it's like cowboy, like, we're pioneering, the Wild West of medicine kind of feel to it.
So maybe kind of like a Dr. Quinn medicine woman sort of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with images of old Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I like that.
And showing the
actually.
construction of like that hospital too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I like that a lot. So, now that we're all back, I think a
Sorry
good
about
scene...
that. Lost track of time.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I think a good scene for us to get back into the thick of things after the commercial break would be... I think it would be very interesting to do another patient scene, specifically Charles going from this consult to, oh God, Loretta's back. or as Charles would call her, Miss Collins, or Mrs. Collins is back. So, all right, Charles, Loretta, add that to the list. So, as Charles enters your room, Loretta, why don't you frame this for us? What do we see? What is Loretta's complaint manifesting like this week?
I think this week she's like moaning. It's like, oh, it's not necessarily for a moment you think it's another issue because like my stomach, oh it's so very hard to eat when you have an annoying pain in the tooth and I just can't chew. I am wasting away my stomach, doctor.
Charles just kind of gives an exasperated look to you. Mrs. Collins, we've had this discussion last week and the week before, and even the week before that. We've exhausted all options for management of the pain. I can't do anything for you.
You can
unless
fix
we
the
remove the
tooth.
tooth.
No. You don't. When there's pain in the bones of arms and legs and everything, you don't remove the bone. You fix the bone. This is a
Respectfully,
bone, is it not?
it is a bone that cannot be repaired in the way that you set a broken arm or excise a bit of infected femur. Once a tooth is gone, it's gone, and it must be removed not only to alleviate pain, but to protect you from further infection.
But
The tooth is making you sick, and we must remove what is making you sick. Otherwise, I can do nothing for you.
but you're a healer. You're supposed to heal the sick, not remove parts like some butcher.
In this case, removal of the affected parts is healing.
Now that's
It's
some
to,
quackery.
to borrow your butcher analogy, you would much prefer that your local butcher sells you fine cuts of meat with the undesirable parts removed, yes? You wouldn't buy a slab of beef that's 60% fat, would you?
Well, I hear the fat is supposed to make it flavorful. I mean, I don't care. I'm not a with this tooth. I haven't been able to chew any meat in months now. I've been reduced to rabbit food.
Truthfully, that might not be the worst change at your age, Mrs. Collins.
And she makes like a blustering noise. Like, "Oh, what's that supposed to mean? I'm already wasting away. How am I supposed to live out my golden years with this issue? You're supposed to listen to the patient."
Charles pauses a moment and steeples his fingers. Just. I want you to live out your golden years in bliss as much as you do, as much as I presume your husband does. However, if you are unwilling to allow me to tackle the obstacle which is preventing you from doing that, my hands are tied. Yes, it's a few minutes of pain. It's a few minutes that are deeply unpleasant. But it's a few minutes of pain that could allow you to experience what you've been missing again. It's a few minutes of pain that could enrich your life. Pain is not your enemy, Mrs. Collins. Pain is merely a signal from your body that something is wrong and something must be done.
And she huffs and moans a little bit slightly while rubbing her cheek as she does consider your words, obviously, because you are the doctor after all. But she's like, can I get a second opinion first?
Wouldn't it be more like a fourth or fifth opinion at this point?
Well, I've only seen you.
That question, can I get a second opinion, is probably the easiest way to get under Charles's skin. Why would you ever need someone else's opinion? I'm Charles Mudd, damn it.
Well,
And so,
I want to spend a resolve token as Loretta to have overheard some things and be not necessarily directly against Charles, but like, well, you now have plenty of women doctors, and I've heard that you men don't seem to understand us women very well. So maybe if I just had a female doctor look over, she could see something that you can't.
that is also a very good way to get under Charles's skin, because I think, within the lines and veils that we have set up, our boy is a bit of a chauvinist. Honestly. Hey, it's the 1860s thing to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is this token going into the void, or are you paying it directly to Sophia or Alma for me to bring them in on a consult?
I think it's in the void in the sense of like her having overheard things that may not have been public,
Okay.
Because it's kind of related to Sophia and Alma's research of like, oh, we're not getting a lot of information about women patients kind of thing. And maybe that's been muttered around with some of the students and whatnot.
Yeah. I think Charles visibly bristles for a moment. Then there's a subtle look of realization that enters his eyes. He says, I think I have just the woman doctor that can help us. Then he pops his head out into the hall for one of the nurses, says, get me Dr. Hamilton, would you? Then just back into the room. She'll be joining us momentarily. Is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable in the meantime, Mrs. Collins?
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind some more of the pain medication after all. No matter either case, I will be dealing with pain, won't I?
It is not prudent to administer more medication at this time. We have not completed our examination of you.
And I understand. Because, like, she thinks she's gonna win. Somehow, like with the female doctor coming up with a miraculous way to fix her tooth without deleting it.
I love the word deleting the tooth. Yeah.
It's a phrase my boyfriend uses a lot whenever we're playing like Overwatch. It's like, oh, we deleted him.
Delete the wife. Anyway, so I think this is a good moment for Sophie Hamilton, MD, to enter.
Yeah, so I think Sophia is going to briskly walk in, looking at whatever charts they have back then for patients. Mrs. Collins, I understand you've been dealing with some pain related to a tooth. If you could open up, I will take a look.
And she, like, as soon as you come in, she brightens, like, yes, and she, like, sits up, and it almost looks like as if the pain isn't as bad as she was indicating, and she opens her mouth.
Oh, yes, I could, I'm afraid it is quite rotten. I could see how that could be very painful. We'll have to take it out.
Charles just kind of looks down his nose at Mrs. Collins, knowing that he has won. Uh,
Are you sure? I mean, you know more of you're like me, obviously. She kind of leans in like conspiratorially, like me, women. Are you sure it's not a special issue that maybe we can overcome?
I think when like being a woman is mentioned, I think Sophia's like, oh yes, if you are worried about appearances, there are those who can make special prosthetics. I understand that they are able to make them quite realistic these days. I can put you in touch with one if that would be your desire.
And her face kind of like falls a bit, like, "Ugh," and realizes they're all the same at this hospital. And she huffs and is like, and looks at um remembering people's names. Yeah, looks at you, Charles, Dr. Mudd, and he's like, well, I could clearly see the agenda going on here,
I'd like
but
to I'd like to do the card thing to be the one to convince her.
yeah, I think you could do a challenge to convince a patient that they
Mhm.
need treatment that they're reluctant about. The appropriate suit for this probably would be hearts. Hearts used for emotional tasks. You're trying to interpersonally win Mrs. Collins over. Uh, Mrs. Collins is pretty recalcitrant.
Mhm.
Pretty pretty unwilling to have this tooth out. And it seems like the risks of pushing too hard could mean that she doesn't come back ever again,
Mhm.
which would be dangerous for her. So I'm going to set the difficulty at 3. So you need 3 hearts.
Okay. I think I'd like to pay a resolve token to lower that.
All right, you have lowered it. How many tokens are you paying?
Just the one, I think.
Okay, so then it's now difficulty 2. Let me shuffle the deck for you.
I also had another idea about this, but I will talk about it after we finish this.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and do the card draws. And we'll see how this goes. That's a club. Could have used that. No, I was looking for spades. My bad. Another club. A spade. There's the fucking spades. Okay. One more. Oh, and that is
Oof.
a failure.
Mhm.
Unfortunately. You have not successfully convinced Mrs. Collins to have
Medicine
this
ain't
oral
easy.
surgery she really needs. So, Loretta, how do you respond to Dr. Hamilton's entreaties?
he has a smug look on his face, right? Charles.
Dr. Mudd, Charles, does have a kind of smug look on his face.
Okay.
More smug than his baseline of smugness.
Yeah. So as soon as he looks at you, Dr. Mudd, and it's like bristles a little bit and looks at you, Dr. Hamilton, and it's just like, well, I never. I need to talk to my husband about this. And I think she stands up. It's like, thank you. I may be back. And she starts to head off.
Hopefully soon.
She seems to be rather a stubborn patient.
Yes, she has been one of my more difficult patients, unfortunately. A valiant effort, though, Dr. Hamilton. Thank you for your assistance. hopefully we haven't upset her too badly.
Have you considered that perhaps you or I might not have been the best person to try and convince her?
Well, she wanted a woman doctor, and my mind immediately went to you. Are you suggesting that another member of the staff might have more success?
Dr. Alvarado has a way with patients and making those who are perhaps more suspicious of medicine feel heard and understood and taken care of.
I shall keep that in mind in the future, assuming Mrs. Collins returns. That's a rather strong endorsement of Dr. Alvarado. I shall keep it in mind. Right.
Very well. I have other patients to see you too, and I'm
Yes,
sure you do as well, Dr. Mudd. I shall see you later.
Charles just nods. That's a good end to the scene, I think. Excellent. I liked that quite a lot. Let me take a look at the list. I think to close out the day shift scene, we should have Zachariah trying to apologize to Sophia, and that would flow really naturally. Like, oh, I have other patients to see, and maybe they run into each other in the course of that.
There was
If that
discussion
works
of
for her.
having flowers at the time. So I feel like that would be either a good first night shift scene.
Yeah, actually, that probably would work better as a night shift scene. I was suggesting that we not do any more patient scenes until the next day
Yeah.
shift.
That's fine to me.
So, all right, that's the end of the day shift. It's the beginning of the night shift. What other night shift scenes do we want other than Zachariah and Sophia? That was a really good day shift. These could be scenes for what you're doing in your off hours, you're socializing with your coworkers, something with a connection. Basically anything that's not really directly related to work.
Go find a way to make it work related, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
naturally.
that's what I was thinking about.
We
Wrote on
only,
my whole playbook.
yeah, we only exist for the job. The workhorse most of all. So yeah, suggestions for scenes to add to the list for this phase. We've got about an hour left of playtime, so we can knock out at least part of the night shift.
We could go to Dona Benicia.
Ooh, Doña
That'd be fun.
Benicia, yeah. That would be
No,
compelling
I might
and
need someone else
interesting.
to take her up while I am, because we talked about going to see her for work
Of
stuff.
going together. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we hold off on that scene until
Okay.
the next day shift. So, but having Alma and Doña talk, yeah. So she's coming
Yeah.
home,
Right.
and neighbor
Okay,
talk.
so holding off on that scene for now?
Well,
Yeah.
the trio scene, yeah.
Oh,
with
okay.
her.
But you do want Alma and Doña.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. I think for a night shift scene for Charles, it would be interesting to do something with Charles and Cyrus, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Okay, so we've got Zachariah, Sophia, Doña Alma, Charles, Cyrus. Is there anything else that interests us right now?
Not really. Like, we could, in theory, have a scene between Gideon and Zachariah. Just get Gideon on screen.
That could be good. Yeah. Add it to the list. See what
Yeah,
happens.
we'll see if we get to it.
Yeah. All right. Let's start out with these 4 scenes because we only have an hour left.
Yeah.
So who knows how much different things will take. Let's start with Zachariah and Sophia, I think. If that is okay with the 2 of you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wonderful. Frame the scene. Either one of you, please.
So is this as like Sophia is preparing to head home, or is this
Yeah, I was
have you
thinking that it
gone
would
to
be.
her house?
No, that would be far too presumptuous. I think Zach's goal would be to like catch you as you're leaving work.
Mhm.
Probably not act like physically inside the hospital
Mhm.
because people would talk. But other than that, I'm not
But-
really upset.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
on the
So
street somewhere,
mhm.
literally on the front steps. Who knows?
I think Sophia is the type of person who like is a very brisk walker because she always has somewhere to be. Like she's never satisfied with just like being in one place. She always has to be doing something, I think. So I think maybe like she heads out just a little bit before you and you maybe have to run to catch her.
All right. Dr. Hamilton.
Dr. Wainwright, is there something you needed me for?
Nothing work related per se, but I wanted to apologize for what I said to you this morning about your family.
I see.
Fact of the matter is, you're a damn fine doctor, and we're all lucky to have you. I'm glad to be working with you. And I hope you'll forgive me for saying some stupid shit about how much money you make.
If you must know, any of my salary here I spend towards taking care of others. My mother and the rest of my family take part in philanthropy. I do as well. I would just like to know where my money is going and that it is going to where it is needed most. In order to do that, I believe one must have an idea of the community and the people within it.
I think you've just about got the right of it.
Thank you. Now, if you didn't have anything else you wanted to say, I do need to head home. I'm afraid that my mother is expecting me.
Well, there was this one patient I was hoping to consult on, but that can wait.
No, I could. What you want to consult on? I have time.
Well, and Zach will pull out like an oilskin thing of papers that's just like, there's this woman, Prudence Conway. She's got all sorts of intestinal issues, and me, Dr. Mudd, run every test in the book and just cannot figure out what's wrong with her.
I see. And where exactly is the pain at?
About an inch or two above the waist, right around the navel area.
I see. I would like to take a look at her the next time she's in, if you don't mind.
I'll make sure to get you in there.
Thank you very much. Good night,
No,
Dr.
thank you.
Wainwright.
Please have a good night.
I think she just nods and turns and continues briskly walking off.
I think the camera holds on Zach for like an extra 5 seconds of just like, did I say something else? And the scene ends.
Yeah. If we're framing this as like a period medical drama that's airing on TV, I'm kind of getting the impression that Zachariah is like the really hot but dumb leading man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's energy you're going for intentionally, but that's the way it's coming
No,
off,
it's
and
just
I love
kind of
it.
what's coming. Listen, I'm riding with it.
Yeah.
I have to give a reason for
Yeah.
my character to have a crush on him. So yeah, he's hot but dumb.
He's Shepherd with a beard.
Exactly.
Yeah. The kind of guy that makes women across America think, I can fix him.
Zachariah, I don't consider myself an anything ist, but my life was shaped by powerful women. Wainwright.
Love it. Wonderful.
Whereas I generally
alright,
live in a play to find
so-
out camp, but I am getting like major lesbian vibes off of Sophie. So we'll see how that goes.
Interesting. Alright, so on the docket we have Donya and Alma, Charles and Cyrus, or Gideon and Zachariah. We could do Gideon and Zachariah now, like it could flow kind of naturally into that, but if you don't want to, we can push it off.
I don't know where I would take that scene, so I'd need like a second.
Who's playing Gideon? Am I playing Gideon?
I think you are.
I am playing Gideon.
Yeah, I'm only playing
The
patient.
thought that immediately came to mind as someone playing Gideon, especially since you made him a med student instead of a regular patient, it could be that Gideon is just like a guy that you hang out with, even though he's further behind you in his medical career. You've befriended each other and you had plans with him tonight, and it could be a scene of Zachariah being like, I don't get what I'm doing wrong, man. Like it could be a kind of commiseration scene.
Yeah. All right, we could do that.
Yeah, let's try that.
All right, so we're at the local bar.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
close to the board, a bar close to the boarding house we both live in.
Yeah, which is equidistant from our two hospitals because our hospital has a women's college.
Yeah, so Gideon
he would
is
have to be at,
presumably
like,
Gideon is presumably at a different medical school in Philadelphia. Actually, I'm going to look up what medical schools were in Philadelphia.
I don't know if that existed yet. Hang on.
Oh, Penn has a whole list of extinct Philadelphia medical schools.
Cool.
Like University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're going to say that Gideon is a student of the Eclectic Medical College of Philadelphia and Philadelphia University of Medicine and Surgery. So the
Goes to PU?
No, excuse me. I go to EMC, the Eclectic Medical College.
All right, sure, fine. Be that way.
Hey, you might not take your work seriously over at Saint whatever the name is, but I'm at an elite institution that'll be here forever.
Yeah, I'm sure all those dinosaurs what'll be dead soon keep telling you that too.
It's actually out of character. It's actually very funny that you say that, because on this description that I pulled up, the one that I go to apparently was founded after like a schism and a bunch of people left another medical college to form their own. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's drama further up the chain from me. Anyway, Gideon just kind of shrugs and takes another sip of his beer. So, you seem more down than you are normally after a shift.
It's not about the patients, although one of them is troubling me. What's really getting to me is I seem to have stepped on not one but two of my coworkers today, and I cannot figure out what I did. Well, I tried to apologize for one of them, but didn't seem to work, and my my cousin, Dr. Mudd, just isn't. I don't know. He seems embarrassed to be around me, but we're kin. It shouldn't be.
It's a difficult situation. Why did you choose to study at his hospital if you knew he was so averse to you?
I didn't. I got in off a man in my unit. Higher up the chain, some kind of administrator. He was a colonel from the West Virginia company.
Huh. Well, that does make things difficult. I could see how that would be a surprise for both of you. Maybe, you know, I'm always telling you to pace yourself. Don't work yourself so hard. You're not going to help your patients at all that way, but maybe that advice is true for this too. Maybe don't try so hard for his approval. Just make sure that you're being a good doctor. Make sure that you're getting your work done and, you know, to hell with him.
But I ain't here for just me. I'm trying to get you city folks to listen to me, that you gotta start branching out, stop treating regular folks like we got nothing worthwhile to say.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Huh?
It was a bad joke. Ignore it.
Well, I'm sorry if I offended you. I will,
No, you're fine. Why don't you tell me about this other one? You said you tried to apologize and it didn't go well?
I just sort of, well, I don't know if I should say. I think maybe saying anything at all was the issue to begin with.
So you said something to offend this other doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of stepped on your tongue trying to apologize?
Near as I can tell.
Well, what was it that you said that offended her in the first place?
I made a certain sort of comment about her family and how much money they ought to have.
That does seem a bit personal for someone you work with, don't you think?
We don't make no secret of it where I'm from. No sense getting cheated by a company man, you know? I guess that ain't the way of it when you got all that money. You're from rich folk yourself, ain't you?
we do well enough.
But you wouldn't put a number on that, would you?
It just doesn't seem proper, truthfully.
Hmm.
Like, well, among people who come from a more urban environment like me, it's considered vulgar to talk about money.
Hmm. That's a load of hogwash, but that's the way it is.
I don't really have an explanation for it. That's just the way I was raised and the way I expect this coworker of yours was raised.
I'll keep that in mind. All right. I think that's seen.
Yeah, I think we're starting to spin our wheels a bit. But it was good. I liked it.
All right, yeah, no.
I'd like to...
That was certainly a dynamic.
I would like to figure out Gideon a little bit better. Especially with this knowledge of what eclectic medicine actually is that Neko has shared in the chat. I think we could take this to some really interesting places.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, no, I like this guy.
Yeah, this
Suddenly
is going to be really interesting.
It's intended to be like a more gentle form of medicine, and like another thing it says on the Wikipedia is the person who coined the term eclectic medicine used the word eclectic to refer to those physicians who employed whatever was found to be beneficial to their patients, with eclectic being derived from a Greek word meaning to choose from.
Oh. Cool.
So he probably doesn't entirely like your branch of type of medicine that you do.
No, but I'm probably all about that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We should have some follow-up scenes where we talk about this difference in practice.
Yes.
Definitely. I like that we stumbled into this, because I thought eclectic school of medicine was just kind of a weird descriptor. I didn't realize it was an actual specific herbalistic branch.
Mm-hmm.
That plays into our desire to see medical quackery really, really well. I should say it plays into our desire to see multiple forms of medical quackery really well, because we did just go through a whole thing of, fuck it, give her the cocaine. So, you know. All right. Looking at other scenes.
Small thing is that apparently eclectic college didn't exist. Like, even in 1867, it was apparently moved to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, the one in Philadelphia was moved?
Yeah, that's what, at least looking at the Wikipedia, it looks like it was driven out after the Resurrection Riot in 1839.
Which Wikipedia page are you looking at?
Oh no, I'm looking at the one in Ohio. Never mind.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that was the Eclectic Medical Institute in Ohio. The one that I chose apparently operated primarily as a diploma mill for the last couple of years of its life until it closed in 1880. My school was really shady, apparently. Operated as a...
Cool.
It was a diploma mill. Like, as if eclectic medicine isn't shady enough. A bunch of the schools are just fake schools.
I mean,
So,
I feel like there was probably some good stuff in eclectic medicine.
the articles that I'm reading really suggest that it was hooey of the highest order.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. This is going to make Gideon very fun to play. All right. We've got Donya and Alma are Charles and Cyrus. How do we feel about doing Donya and Alma?
I'm good.
All right, cool. All right. Go ahead and frame the scene.
I think it's not like every night, but like once or twice, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Alma will come home with like some extra food and stuff, and just bring that over to Ladonia and everything to make sure she's eating well and everything, and I think there's a bit of Ladonia that reminds her of like her family in her town in Oaxaca, um, and just having that bit of like home. So she like comes and so she I think she's brought especially since today was the special event and everything, there's a lot of extra food and drinks. So she brings like some things she doesn't know the names of that are very maybe like Pennsylvanian, like dishes, whatever that might be.
What
Um,
what would she call you? As uh
ooh, um, probably Almasita, which is like little Alma,
mhm.
um, or even like Mija, which means
Okay.
my daughter, but everybody, older
Yeah.
women use that. Yeah. And so I think she's like knocking on your door, like very gently, because it's still like a little later than usual, and then just like, uh, Doña Benicia, are you home? I've brought some food over.
I think she just kind of opens the door wide. Masita, come in. Oh dear, look at you. I think she's kind of your cheeks. They're so pale. Please sit down. You've been working too hard. You don't need to prepare food for me after all day at the hospital.
Well, I didn't prepare it, but I mean, I would have if I had the time. No, we had a special guest today at the hospital, and she'll like set it down on the table and sit down and do a really quick summary of like the special guest being the mayor and
Mhm.
such. But here's some food, extra food. I figured we'd feast tonight.
I see we will be trying some of the fruits of Philadelphia.
Yes, we something nice and exotic for once.
Nothing as good as what you or I would make, I'm sure, but
Hmm. If I could have the time to make a decent tamale. And she's like sighs wistfully at the last time she's had a tamale. Um, but yes, how have
I
you
should
been?
be making food for you, Miha.
And she blushes and she's like, "Oh, I don't want you to worry. I'd eat well. I mean, but you know, I wouldn't mind. Like very like a grandchild would. Like I wouldn't mind a treat once in a while, kind of like way of speaking."
I could see it in I could see it in your face. Your spirits are all out of alignment. You work too hard. You don't have enough of home. It's too much of this Philadelphia influence, not enough good Mexican influence.
And she chuckles and like kind of playsates, like, I know, it's, well, that's why I have you, right?
Yes, yes, but I suppose tonight we will both be having some Philadelphia influence. Luckily, my spirits are always in order, so
Of
I don't have to
course.
worry about it. Of course, I do worry about it tipping too far for you, dear.
I know. I'll have time soon enough. It's just with the work and school and everything, and trying to make sure all my coworkers they're nice to each other. I mean, Dr. Rainwright, and I think she does because it's a television show we've established has a bit of like starry-eyed look for a second. He's been rather too blunt with one of my good friends, and I want everybody to get along, you know?
Can I pay a resolve token to have to have caught that starry look in your eyes.
Yes, I will happily accept that. So I've added
Oh,
it to mine. Yeah.
did you transfer it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, Miha. It is not her that you. It is not your co-worker that you want this Dr. Wainwright to look, to be in the good this Dr. Wainwright to get along with, is it?
Oh, what do you mean?
I have been I have been around many young girls. I know the look of love when I see it.
Love? No, I have respect and admiration for the good doctor. Not, and she like
Oh, respect and admiration are often part and parcel of love, dear.
and she like fans her face with her hand.
I'm
No.
glad you have respect for him. You should never end up in a relationship with a man who you love but have no respect for. So that is a very good start.
Uh, well, even let's pretend you are partially correct. I doubt the good doctor wouldn't want anything but another Mason Dixie woman. She tries to remember the conversation from earlier. Whatever that means. Apparently, it's not a river.
Well, what a man says he wants and what a man actually wants are not often the same thing, you know. How could anyone look at you and not see your beauty and your charm and your ability to cook?
Well, I haven't actually served any food to. That's a good idea. I should make something and present it to all my coworkers, not just the good doctor Wainwright. Um, come. Let's just try some of this Philadelphia food and see if it pretend if it could remind us of home. Yeah?
Very well, but I will hold you to this. You shall bring in food for your not just your coworkers, but for Dr. Wainwright.
Of course, because he's one of my coworkers. Yes. And I think she like starts trying to do her best to remember what like each food is. And I think she probably had asked Sophia, it's like, what's this? Like, that's shepherd's pie or whatever, and to try to she's still flushed, but she's trying to definitely get Ladonia to move away from that subject for the evening.
All right, is there anything else you want from the scene?
No, I think that's a good start. That's a
Okay.
good one. Thank you.
All right, excellent. The only thing we have left on the list is
Cyrus
Charles and
Charles Mott.
Cyrus. So I think for this scene, it would be interesting for Charles to be coming back to the family homestead for like a Sunday dinner or something.
All right.
Because I think Charles is farther enough ahead in his career and doing well enough that he's not in like a boarding house or anything. He probably has a place of his own. But he's not living with his father either. So Charles arrives. It doesn't have to be Sunday specifically, but like it's like a weekly dinner with mother and father. Very formal sort of thing. So Charles arrives, having come home from the hospital, and enters the mud house, looking weary but grateful to be there.
Ah, you're early.
Yes, a few of my cases ended up less complicated than I expected.
Always a pleasure.
It's good to see you again as well.
It's good to hear things are going well at the hospital. How did the opening of that new cholera wing go?
It went quite well. I thought Mayor McMichael's address was very fitting, and it was exciting to have so many people there to witness this new chapter.
Quite right.
How are you? How are you and Mother?
We're taking care of ourselves, you know us. Made it through the war, we'll make it through whatever comes next.
Naturally. There's a palpable silence as Charles struggles for anything to say to his father. And the room gets progressively more icy.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice to see you there as well. I had hoped you'd be available.
Oh yes, well I had another engagement in the city that day, you understand.
Yes, of course, I understand.
Needed to take care of something. I don't know. What is Cyrus Mudd doing with his days?
He's recently retired. That's a relatively
He strikes me as the kind of guy who would still show up at work. Make sure they're doing it right.
He might also have a gentleman's club that he goes to.
Needed to take care of some things at a luncheon with the medical society.
Yes, naturally. Have you heard anything about my application to the society?
I've been fighting for you, son, but they're still nervous about the way people will talk, you understand?
Ah, yes. We can't have more than one Mudd, naturally.
Well, it's only proper that you inherit the seat rather than claim your own.
Is the work that I'm doing not sufficient to claim my own seat?
Well, the society is divided. I and a few of my friends have been making your case. Others insist that breaking convention in such a way for such a family would cause a riot, or at least an embarrassment to the society at large.
Very well. I won't press the matter further, then. Charles says, clearly intending to press the matter further.
On the contrary, I think the opening of this new ward presents an opportunity. If you are seen taking charge of one of the mayor's personal pet projects, as it were, I think we could win over a few of the more staunch Philadelphians among your opposition.
The frustration is starting to wane in Charles's eyes. But he doesn't quite seem satisfied still. He very rarely seems satisfied after all. He just takes a poignant sip of his brandy and says, well, it seems I have my assignment done.
Please, this is simply... I'm giving you advice as your father. Calling it an assignment makes you seem workmanlike.
I suppose. I think that's a good place to end the scene.
I would say so.
Yeah, we still have 20 minutes of our allotted time, so we might be able to do another small one if people want. Are there any off work night shift scenes that people are interested in?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good night shift, personally.
Yeah, I think for the beginning.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I imagine the only other thing that would be the main other thing that would be going on with Sophie was getting yelled at by her mother more, but I don't know if we need to see a second scene of that right away.
Well, let's use the remaining 20 minutes of our time for some housekeeping then.
Oh, I was going to mention an idea I had with the challenges and the card drawing. I was thinking that I don't know if you want to fully add in stat points, but I do think that like reputation could like give maybe pluses or minuses to different things. So like Alma has a reputation for like being attentive, so maybe like that would be helpful for like,
hearts challenges.
Yeah, for hearts challenges. Whereas Sophie has a negative reputation for bossy, which might actually be hurtful for hearts challenges.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they were.
I had not considered that. I don't know if reputation tags are the way to do it, because reputation tags are so multiplicitous and they can take so many different forms.
Mm-hmm.
It's something worth thinking about that I hadn't considered, though. There are, if you check the descriptions, there are, in this new edition, a lot of reputation conditions that affect your ability to perform challenges, mostly relating to the number of cards at which you fail or your ability to set difficulty levels. For example, the workhorse, which Dr. Wainwright is playing, has the negative condition, it never gets easier. This is one that in the previous playtests was really bad, so it's been reworked. If you look at the description for that, working yourself to the bone has made you exhausted and prone to error. As long as you have this condition, the minimum difficulty level for your challenges is 2. So you cannot have any difficulty 1 challenges while you have that condition. You can't lower it beyond 2. Or for a positive, let's take a look at...
Looks like a good save.
Yeah, a good save is a good one. So, a good save. Your dedication to your patients has worked in your favor. You're known for bringing patients back from the brink who ordinarily wouldn't make it. While you have this condition, you may, once per cycle of play, lower the difficulty level of another player's challenge to 1 without spending resolve tokens. Like, you could even spend this on like a difficulty 4 or 5 and just change it to a difficulty 1. Once per cycle of play. So this is something that I was thinking about in...
Yeah, it just seems like, like a character like Alma who specifically is, like
Who
very,
specifically is very personable.
yeah, should have an
Certain
easier time.
challenges.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would even... To me, it seems like it ought to be... Or it would work better if it was attached to the rolls. Like, every roll gets a plus and a minus.
Oh,
So you have a reason to bring in specific doctors as a consult.
Actually, that's a really good idea. Like,
Yeah, I like that.
the workhorse is good at the technical challenges and the diagnostic challenges, but maybe not as good at the interpersonal ones. That sort of thing. Since we're using the workhorse as our guinea pig example thing, it happens when the workhorse is based on the main character of one of my favorite shows. So, yeah. All right. Other housekeeping thing I wanted to talk about. I have complicated feelings about the use of epistolary in this game. I'm not 100% sure that epistolary is useful for deep cuts, but it has been very fun in the deep cuts games we played. Especially in the modern era when epistolary can take so many more forms. It's not just a letter. It could be a text message. It could be an email. That sort of thing. The main thing I wanted to address with this is whether we want to do epistolary just at the table or if you want 24/7 epistolary. This is the time that we should establish that.
As Neko knows, I'm a big fan of 24/7 epistolary, so I will go with whatever y'all feel comfortable with.
I definitely like having it as an option, but maybe like having like a cap to what you can write outside of sessions, so like it doesn't go too crazy, or so that like the people who are not
I think between the 4 of us, we can just kind of handle it.
Yeah.
I'll set up a channel then. I will let you know that because my life is kind of fucking crazy right now, I am unlikely to write much in the 24/7 epistolary. So, like, please don't take that as me not being engaged and not caring about the game.
Yeah. I'll take it as you being a good grad student.
Yeah, please.
Obviously.
Please view it that way and not the other obvious thing, which is that I just forget to write them. So, all right.
Grad student with potentially ADD, got it.
You're
I
close.
don't actually know if you have ADD, but...
I've been assessed for it, and I'm like a couple points off the diagnosis, but a lot of that is...
Iconic.
A lot of that is just overlapped with some of the other stuff I have going on.
Which you don't need to tell me if you don't want to, so...
No, that's fine. But yeah. So, I think this is a good place for us to wrap. We could do Stars and Wishes off camera. So I'm going to end the broadcast. Bye.